you ever watch a film, maybe in theaters, maybe you streamed it, Netflix, whatever, saw it on TV once, and you absolutely despised it? God, I'm starting to sound like that guy from Star Trek who has that TV show. Did you ever fall off your bike as a kid? I don't know. Anyway, in this video I'm going to be talking about what it's like to kind of hate a film. Not like the idea of it, not like what it is because of maybe pre-interpretive stuff that you wanted it to be, or other things, mostly just that. And then you see it, and it's not like what you were expecting, and then you don't like it because it wasn't what you wanted. I actually kind of have 3 examples of this. Alien Covenant is my lead example. Kong Skull Island is my second example. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is a simple one because, actually, that and King Kong are both the simple ones. You know, King Kong is simple because I watched it on Foxtel, and I absolutely hated it because I was expecting to see something like the original King Kong film or the 2005 King Kong film. But instead I got this other thing. I didn't understand what it was trying to be, so I didn't like it. And then with Guardians of the Galaxy, I wanted something that was pretty much identical to the first film. And instead I got something that wasn't. And it changed the characters a bit around and did what it needed to do to adjust itself to make it a better film, to make the characters better. And I didn't like it. But then King Kong, I ended up seeing a bunch of tweets from the director saying how he wanted to do this pessimistic take on a nihilistic take on the Vietnam War, but have like the main construct be around the fact that you have a giant ape, and that gave me a new kind of perspective. One person's interpretation just being even the director's leading idea or scope of what they were going for, and it gave me a different perspective of how to examine the film. And the same goes for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, when I watched Lindsay Ellis's video essay about it, talking about the feels of the film and what it was going for on a thematic scale, character scale, and everything else. And of course, this gave me new appreciation for both of these movies. Alien Covenant is a trickier one, because this is the one that really is the first film of mine that I ever kind of reconsidered and fell in love with. Because Alien Covenant, I loved the Alien films. I really liked Prometheus, and I was expecting, Covenant, much like most people, to be a completely direct sequel. You've got David and Shaw back, got the engineers, you're going to find out what happens to them. Maybe there's xenomorphs of some kind. Don't need to be, but there could be. And then they just have all that stuff in a prologue, and then you get the rest of Alien Covenant. And it's like, wait, what? So, of course, luckily I watched a lot of the prologue stuff before actually watching the film, so I kind of knew a bit about the characters and the prologue stuff with David and whatever and Shaw. And it was very disheartening to see that Shaw was killed off between movies. That sucked. But, and taking on the surface level of just, it's just a bunch of dumb, explorers. They're not even explorers, they're trying to habitat a planet, but they're like, we found this other planet that might actually be better for us. And then they go on the planet without wearing masks, and they all get killed off and stuff or whatever because of mutations and aliens and stuff. It's just like, geez, what a dumb movie, But the thing is, there's 2 things that are very notable about the film. One, it's a slasher film. It's still horror, it's still sci-fi, but it's a slasher film. You got monsters killing people, and the people have to fight back to some degree. Some of them don't. Some of them have to be the incubation for these monsters. Hence the xenomorph and the neomorph and the protomorph. Fuck. Then there's also the converse stuff about the canon, like, what happened to the engineers, and this is an engineer's planet, and like, what about David and Shaw, and then all this other stuff you want answers to. So you go into this film wanting answers to how is it going to relate to the Alien franchise, how is it going to relate as a sequel. But if you look at the film as its own, the film is 2 things. Firstly, it's a slasher film, as I said. Secondly, it's a mad scientist movie. It's a mad scientist-led slasher film. This is what my friend Guy told me. He's like, this is why he really appreciates the film. Because if you look at it from the perspective of it's a mad scientist movie, That's what makes it really good. I mean, there are plenty of reasons why it's actually a really good film, but in terms of the kind of context of how you should perceive the film, can sometimes help underline what makes a film good. And for Alien Covenant, as much as you're getting these characters who aren't too well developed and have their problems and all this kind of stuff, maybe they're not realistic to some degree, it's like, yeah, but that's the slasher element of the film. Plus, they're bait. That's all they are. That's the whole intention of them getting this message, they're like, oh, this other planet exists, let's go see it, that's the bait. They are the bait. They're taking the bait, David is a mad scientist. He's made these horrific monster-like creatures, the perfect organism as he's trying to create, and of course he needs bait. He needs test subjects. So he gets that ship that they're all on, the Covenant, to come along. And of course, outside the fact that it's full of thousands of people, thousands of test subjects for him, that's the endgame result. It's not exactly something that he'll know about. It's not exactly something that he'll be like, that's something I know about. But like leading this signal out at least gives people the opportunity to be like, hey, shit, there's a planet here. We should go investigate. And of course, they get there. They find the mutations. David realizes that they're there, and then he comes along to save them. He is their savior. He is Jesus. All bow to him. But wait, no. Jesus reveals he's actually been an alien this whole time, and then he starts attacking people. Maybe, kind of. And that's one of the things I think that is really key about sometimes watching movies. Because sometimes you can watch a movie and just be like, oh, this is fucking terrible. It's boring as hell. All this stuff doesn't make any sense. The characters are terrible. However it be, there's always going to be some bad feelings towards a film. Even a film by your favourite director could be miserable. Could be terrible, There are plenty of films I have on the shelf that I have potentially previously interpreted as pretty crap. But hey, I have them because they're fun, But some I just have basic ideas of how you should look at them. Something like Swiss Army Man, which was very much mildly, very strongly criticized by a lot of the audiences who first watched it because it's like, it's just a guy who rides a farting corpse. It's like, yeah, but it's hilarious. Take it as it is. It's a dude whose survival is based on a farting corpse. There's so much there that's already, like, that's the context of the film. That's the setup of the film, And that's already got so much more merit to it than some people put onto it because it's like, oh, it's just a silly fart joke movie. It's like, yeah, but it also has all this, like, interpretive value of, like, the power of friendship, the power of opening up to people, the power of love and connectiveness, the power of, father-son relationship. Like, there's so much to the movie that you can see if you just open your fucking eyes. And that's just the thing that I think is really great about film. Because again, Alien Covenant could just be a really lackluster sequel to Prometheus and a really lackluster prequel to Alien. It could be a film that you completely disown as a waste of time, a piece of shit. Characters are crap, I don't care for them, yuck, yuck, yuck. Yeah, but who do you care for in the film? David. Why do you care about David? Because you've seen it in the previous film. Why is he not in the film till a certain point? Because this is part of the plan. This is the whole idea. You get these characters that you're not going to completely care about. The ones you do care about are pretty much Tennessee, who's up on the ship the whole time. And I think it's Tennessee. I don't know. Maybe that's just a name from the guy from Zombieland. Either way. And then you've got, it's Daniel Craig's character anyway. And then of course I'm very sure it's Tennessee. Anyway. And then you have Daniels. And you have Walter, because Walter is still played by the same actor who plays David, Michael Fassbender. And so you want to know, this mystery about all this other stuff. Once you get through your first viewing, whether you dislike it or not, just like me, disliked it, didn't care much for it, thought it was still scary, but didn't care much for it, because I didn't get what they were going for. Your second time around, you're like, you know exactly what these characters are about to fall into. They fall into the trap that will kill all of them, or at least 90% of them. And it is, like, that's where the horror begins for you. Because, I mean, already when you first go into watching it the first time, you know that these characters are going to die, to some degree. So why do you expect to like them, to care about them? You've already seen Alien. This is already replicating the feels of Alien throughout the whole, we've got this cast of characters, and they're all going to go onto this planet. And there's going to be some kind of alien thing there. You know that because you've seen the original Alien film. So that's what they're starting off with. So you already know that. Maybe you don't care as much for the characters to begin with, But then the first time you watched Alien, did you care for the characters? You probably did to some degree, yes, but like, it was about the experience of being with them and this nightmarish experience that they're going through. And it's the same thing for this film, except then this film merges into why of all this stuff. For the first film, the why is because there's an alien monster that's hunting and killing them. In this film, it's because there's a mad scientist who's created these monsters who wants to use these people as test subjects to make more monsters. And it's brilliant. It's so fun. And it's the Neomorph in particular is just a great addition to the franchise as well as a great creature. And the fact that David actually has this aspect to himself that he cares about these creatures. He's not just like, ah ha 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 ha, you will all die, ah ha ha ha. It's, no, he's playing the nuance of being the guy who's like, oh, I'm here to save you, it's alright, I've been here for a while, until he reveals that he's the one who killed the native life on the planet and mutated the whole planet, and he's been experimenting with it all since. And then they, of course, the humans are finding this out while you're finding this out. Then, of course, David's ultimate experiment is the xenomorph, which of course he tests out on a human subject for the first ever time and creates life, the ultimate, the perfect organism. So you've already got your origin for a creature, which might sound dumb. Oh, an android created the alien. Yeah, but could a human? And is it as interesting if an engineer did it? Because the engineer did create the black goo, but that was just to transform stuff, to mutate stuff. The first film, Prometheus, had the black goo transform a worm into this horrifying creature that killed two people. You know, the black goo wasn't going to create the xenomorph from scratch. No, it was going to be used to create the xenomorph. Think about it. You know, you got your test versions. You know, we've especially been Shaw being like the main thing that it's all taken from. It's taken from human DNA and engineered DNA mixed with this black goo that creates a new life form that is monstrous. And that's why you should reconsider watching some films and reevaluating them. Much like, say, Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me was hated because it wasn't a film made to answer questions. It was filmed to depict an experience of the end of someone's life. And so you've got to take a film and understand what it's trying to tell you, not what you want it to tell you. And there's a lot of the people who do these kind of videos. Patrick H. Williams does some exceptional ones. You know, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have watched the Fast and Furious films. But at the same time, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have watched. If it wasn't for my mate Guy, I wouldn't have reconsidered Alien Covenant, nor would I have watched the Fast and Furious films. So credit goes to multiple people at times, but it's just fun to be able to watch a film. Maybe you don't like it, but then, you know, you look at the critical reception, maybe you look at read an essay about it, maybe you get this more of an interpretation about it, more of an idea of what it was trying to be, and realize that maybe there's more to it than you see or saw the first time. Your scope is now broadened because you're narrowed to think of what you're thinking of the film the first time, your experience on it, what your previous notions are, whether that just be poster, trailers, actors, director, you know, any of the cast and crew involved, or it's in a franchise. So, oh, this new Avengers film is going to be great because the previous one was. But did people like Age of Ultron? In comparison to the first one, not so much. I didn't like it that much either. But then I rewatched it last year because I wanted to evaluate the whole idea of the kind of robot gods that are Vision and Ultron, and the main idea of what the film is trying to present. And it made me like the film more. And that's the thing, even comic book movies have that kind of ideal, you know? There's a lot of movies that are like that, and I don't know, I think you should just take a perspective. My main example is pretty much Alien Covenant, because I know it's a film that has been disliked by audiences and fans, but on reevaluation, it can be considered a really good film, just like Prometheus was. You know, a lot of people still like Prometheus now, even if they didn't the first time, because they've grown to like it. Maybe because of just basic enjoyment out of it, that you really just actually like how it's made and designed. Same as myself. It took me a few times to get into it fully, but that's because I was shit scared of it. And yeah, I've come to really like both of the films. And I think that's it. That's pretty much just my whole kind of perspective on this. So yeah, ultimately there are films that you're going to dislike, that everyone's going to dislike. Whether it be the film, the actor, whatever the fuck it is. And there are always times where, I'm not saying this can be for every film, not for every film that you'll like. I despise Suicide Squad. That doesn't mean I don't own it on Blu-ray to watch it, to hate on it. Because I love to hate it, you know? And that kind of becomes, again, its own thing. That there are not going to be films that you're always going to like. There are not going to be films that you could reevaluate and be like, this is brilliant. It's like, yeah, but you could just reevaluate and be like, okay, that's a thing that you could look at it like, but I don't really care because I just don't like it. And that's fair. Or you could love a film and get a reevaluation of it that could be in a good perspective and you might like it more. Or you could get an evaluation or an opinion that sheds a bad light on the film. Maybe it's, oh, this person was actually a rapist behind the scenes, or this actually reevaluates to mean this or that for interpretation and for recontextualization. And maybe you just hate it because of that. So, I mean, you don't hate it because of that, but like the opportunity to hate it comes along, but you don't want to take part in it because you're contempt. You're like, I'm going to ignore that and continue to love the film that I love. Or TV show. Like the episode of Fly from Breaking Bad. It's a brilliant episode that was absolutely maligned. Like, everyone hated it when it first came out. Not everyone, but a lot of people. I always liked it. It's a cool episode. And that's it. So yeah, thanks for watching. This has just been a little kind of talk about the idea of reevaluating films and TV shows. And yeah, if you have a film that you despised, a TV show you hated, but then came to really love and respect, or at least like to some degree, based on whatever reason, then feel free to share your thoughts on that in the comments. Otherwise, look, if you still hate Alien Covenant, then that's just a you problem now. And that's where we go from there. So thanks for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more. I have more styles of video essays like this where I just kind of talk of an idea and just kind of discuss it. You can check out some here. You can also subscribe probably around here. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Adios. This is taking much longer than I anticipated. Let's go this way. There we go. Okay, goodbye.